Hello, and thank you for stopping by. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. If you are not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you can be notified when new videos arrive. Before I start my video, I would like to read you the text of the Declaration of Independence. It talks about the people abolishing the government when said government starts to destroy America. Now the government has created laws to keep us from doing what the Founding Fathers told us to do. The Founders also said that it is a known fact that most of the time the public would rather put up with these things than to get off their lazy butt and fix it. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form, as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly all experience hath shown, that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government, and to provide new guards for their future security. Again I ask, how are we to secure our rights and freedoms if our government will not allow us the opportunity to defend ourselves against our government? This brings me to my main topic. The 14th Amendment was created to stop America from defending itself by making those who try to do so into insurrectionists and worthy of punishment. If a certain amount of Congress says that they are not guilty, then they will go scot-free even if they orchestrated the whole ordeal. Congress added Part 3 into the 14th Amendment to make it easier for the Confederates to go back to the Union and just be a part of the Union without any jail time. Now it is being used to help North Carolina Republican Representative Madison Cawthorn. The argument is that Section 3 pertains to what he did on January 6th. My topic will explain what is now going on. Confederate Amnesty Act must not insulate the January 6th insurrectionists. In the lead-up to the insurrection, Madison Cawthorn participated in planning meetings and promoted the confrontation with Congress on social media. He has invoked a post-Civil War statute to render him immune from consequences imposed by North Carolina voters. Earlier this month, a federal district judge in North Carolina stopped the effort by North Carolina voters to hold Republican Representative Madison Cawthorn accountable for his role in organizing and promoting the violent January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol by disqualifying him from running for re-election. As stunning as this decision was, the reasoning the court used to get there is more so. It held that the Amnesty Act of 1872, which granted amnesty to former Confederates, applies to Cawthorn and overrides an explicit constitutional prohibition in the 14th Amendment barring those who have engaged in insurrection from holding office. This decision is at odds with the text, history, and logic both of that statute and of the Constitution itself, and cannot be allowed to stand. In the lead-up to the insurrection, Cawthorn participated in numerous planning meetings and promoted the confrontation with Congress on social media. He spoke at a Save America rally outside the White House, praising the crowd for having some fight in it, and leaving little doubt that he was inciting it to imminent action. Shortly thereafter, the mob's attempt to disrupt the election certification process turned deadly. In response, a group of North Carolina voters filed a challenge with the North Carolina State Board of Elections, arguing that Cawthorn is ineligible to stand for re-election under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which expressly disqualifies from any state or federal office anyone who, having previously taken an oath to support the Constitution of the United States, then engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or give aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. Enacted in the wake of the Civil War, this provision fundamentally transformed our national charter, providing a means to hold accountable past insurrectionists as well as others who might violate their oaths to uphold the Constitution in the future. The North Carolina voters plausibly argue that is exactly what Cawthorn did when he helped plan the January 6 rally. Cawthorn's lawyers responded that even if he did aid an insurrection or rebellion against the government, it doesn't matter because in 1872 Congress passed a law that lifted Section 3's disqualification from all but the most prominent Confederate leaders. According to Cawthorn, this law erased the Constitution's disqualification not only for those Confederates then living, but for all potential future insurrectionists. This argument is absurd. Not only would that contravene Article 6, which makes the Constitution the supreme law of the land, but it would render senseless the specific provision in the 14th Amendment stating that the disability imposed by Section 3 may by a vote of 2/3 of each House be removed, from anyone subject to it. That provision would of course be incoherent if a mere act of Congress could render the disability clause null and void across the board and for all time. Only a constitutional amendment ratified by 3/4 of the states could have that effect. But even if Cawthorn's argument was not flatly inconsistent with the Constitution, it would require twisting the 1872 law beyond recognition. As its text makes clear, that statute was passed to lift only disqualifications that were already imposed. In the years following the 14th Amendment's ratification, numerous Confederates petitioned Congress to have their disqualification removed in accord with the 2/3 clause of Section 3. Congress frequently granted amnesty, usually through private bills containing long lists of thousands of names. The final private bill Congress considered before passing the 1872 statute included some 17,000 names. As that bill was debated, one member proposed adding the words, "and all other persons" at the end. But the sponsor of the bill, Representative Benjamin Butler of Massachusetts, rejected that proposal out of hand precisely because it suggested that amnesty would be extended to those who had not yet incurred Section 3 disqualification, quipping that he did not want to be amnestied himself. That remark elicited laughter on the House floor, indicating that the idea that amnesty could be granted to those who had not yet come to need it, the very argument Cawthorn is advancing today, was literally laughable. The 1872 law was primarily a replacement for another in a long line of extraordinarily long bills listing individual Confederates. It was not the product of any considered judgment about the wisdom of letting potential future insurrectionists hold office but simply a practical solution to an administrative problem. Indeed, the campaign materials of Republicans and Democrats from that year's presidential election indicate that both parties understood the 1872 Amnesty Act to be applicable only to former Confederates. Republicans celebrated the fact that they had passed a bill extending amnesty to those lately in rebellion. And while Democrats wanted the 1872 law to go further, even their imagination did not extend beyond disabilities imposed on account of the rebellion. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment remains an important mechanism for holding officeholders accountable when they violate their oaths of office and for ensuring that they be disabled from doing so ever again. Cawthorn and others like him who face congressional and potential Justice Department scrutiny for their roles relating to the January 6 attack should not be able to evade its strictures by relying on the 18. What are your thoughts on this subject? Should Representative Madison Cawthorn be held accountable for his role in the January 6 insurrection? Was it an insurrection or was he doing what he thought was right? Should it matter, and if so, what should be done about it? If you have any thoughts on this matter and would like to comment, please let us know what you think. If you like my videos, please give me a big ol' thumbs up and hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when new videos arrive. Remember, make tomorrow better than yesterday by doing the very best we can today. Have a pleasant day, America, and all points beyond.